All right, so let's take a look here at the news. A lot of cool, interesting, and a bit of sad news, but we'll get to that in a bit. First, we're going to start from Plan B Games, Eggertspiel, and they are remaking Great Western Trail with new art. I don't know if they're making any other changes other than new game board and card art, but they're then making this a trilogy because apparently that's Plan B thing now, make things into trilogies. This is coming out this year, the new Great Western Trail. And then in 2022, there will be an Argentina version. And in 2023, there will be a New Zealand version. And so Great Western Trail, one of the most popular games that there is, for sure. Probably Pfister's most popular game, Alexander Pfister. The trilogy thing, I think, will make people happy. I'm curious how many changes will be there. But on a personal level, I am blown away by how much better that cover looks. It is. I saw someone said the original one was Zombie Cowboys.
I saw that comment somewhere too on BGG somewhere, yeah.
And I thought, you're right. That is true. I really like these panoramic pictures. I especially like the middle one, I think, but they all look good. So we'll see. I don't know that I need 3 Great Western Trail games, but if you like it, there you go. All right.
All right.
Moving on. Creations. So this was kind of my words. Children. All right.
I hope everybody saw that.
No, okay, it doesn't matter.
No, I hope the audience saw it. It'll be there forever. Anyway.
So the Aralo Gulo and I can't say all these names properly, but the people, one of them, Simone Luciani, for sure. The people who originally started Cranial Creations have acquired a majority share of it. When I got this, I thought, how is this news? But the fact is that Cranial Creations was owned by another company, Centauria, and these folks were minority shareholders, so they basically bought out the majority shareholders, and so now the designers and the people who love the company are going to be running Cranial Creations. I don't know what that means for the companies. I mean, it seems like a nice breakup of sorts. They bought them out. They said nice things and everything. But I do think it's interesting to see that gamers now own this company when apparently that was not the case before.
Yeah, I was. Go ahead, Zig.
No, don't, please. It's business. Go ahead.
I didn't know about this news, Tom. I first saw this when I looked at this morning. Yes, exactly what you said. These are the guys that were the face of the company, right? That I would meet with and talk to them about their games, and they are good guys. I am very happy that they're completely in control of the company now. I didn't even know that they weren't. You know, that's kind of one of those things that like was a really behind the scenes thing, that it was another company, Centauri, that was the owner or the majority owner, and Cranial and Lorenzo and Giuliano and Simone were the minority holders. But this is great news for them.
Yeah, so that's interesting. All right, Let's take a look now at some upcoming games from Yellow. So first we have 2 here. We have Royal Visit and Catapult Feud. Now, Royal Visit is actually a remake of an older game. What's it called? Times Square?
Yes, Times Square, yeah. From Renegade.
Right, that was
a 2-player tug-of-war game.
2-player line. Mm-hmm. And Catapult Feud is also another 2-player game where you are fighting with catapults, although I don't know if it's actual catapults or not. That actually would change my opinion of the game. I want
you mean physical components that launch something physical?
Yes.
I hope not, because that sounds super gimmicky.
Yeah, while those things are cute, and we've seen them like with younger games, like for kids and things. Obviously, I would hope that this was an abstracted catapult type of thing.
Yes, I agree with that, man.
All right. Well, then we have some more games from Yellow. We have Sticky Cthulhu, which initially sounds like one of the worst titles of a game ever. It's evocative of things I would prefer not to think about. But this is an offshoot of their game Sticky Chameleons, which essentially had those, like, remember those sticky things? If you ever had these when you were a kid, you threw them against the wall, and they would, like, flop down. They'd climb down the wall.
Right.
So that's what Sticky Chameleons is. You have these, and you hold part in your hand, and you throw it at the table and try to grab a card and pull it to your hand. It's a silly game. It's probably a one-time game for most people. Like, you play, you're like, ha ha, that was hilarious, and then you move on. Yeah. Well, this one is the same thing, but with Cthulhu.
You're literally throwing things on the board to try to, like, stick onto them? Is that what you're saying?
You're holding like a gummy hand. It used to be a tongue. Used to, with like a little gummy string to it, and then you hang onto the tip of the string and you throw you whack this thing, and so it'll stretch, and you're trying to aim at something on a table, whoop, and if you hit the card, you yank back on this, long sticky string, and then you pull the card back. So it was meant to replicate like chameleons shooting at bugs with their tongue. It's very visually hilarious. Like it's a great one-time, like Tom's saying, experience. Like, I'm not sure that Sticky Chameleons and how stupid and sort of silly that is goes hand in hand with Cthulhu, but throw Cthulhu in it by all means, because I guess that's the thing to do.
Yeah, you're eating cultists now. Okay, well,
why not? Sure.
Why not? Yeah, awesome.
I think the game here that a lot of people will get pumped about is Little Factory, considering how popular Little Town seems to have been. Little Town was a very simple game of worker placement style game. So now they got Little Factory, which is, would assume, would be a simple resource management game. It's the same designers. And then they have For the King and Me. This is a reskin of Biblios, which I'm not as excited about because I know Biblios is a good game, but I really like the theming of Biblios, the library theme.
I like this one. I'm excited about this one. I mean, I'm most excited about Royal Visit. It's been out of print many, many years. That's a much better theme. But then after that, For the King and Me, I'm excited about. I like Biblios, but the theme that they had before, not that this is going to be exciting, but it was so dreary. It was very dry. And this, hopefully, from the look of the cover anyway, looks to be at least a little lighter and sillier and Disney-fied. Some of these characters look like they escaped like from Beauty and the Beast or something, and I'm good with that.
All right, well, let's jump into more reprints. Renegade is doing Gravwell 2nd edition with artwork from Quanche Mori, and my word, that cover is great.
I love that. Yes. I love that artwork.
And Gravwell is a really unique racing game in a sense where you are trying to escape. You're trapped in a black hole, so you are essentially using repulsor beams to bounce off different elements and other spaceships, trying to bounce to the very beginning. It's one of the most unique games I've played, I think. And so I'm glad to see a 2nd edition coming.
It was really big. The time when it came out, it got a big buzz and didn't really hear about it. Maybe it went out of print. Actually, I don't even know that if it did or didn't. But this is exciting to see it come back again.
More of the same stuff in a sense. We have War Chest and 2nd expansion Siege coming out. This is War Chest, an abstract strategy game, which is fantastic with heavy poker chips from AEG. Now you have fortified locations, but of course you get trebuchets, siege towers, and the like. It looks like you have 4 new pieces. I think maybe there's more. Oh no, 3 new units.
Are they real trebuchets?
Are they really shooting things at things?
Oh my word. No.
Well, then this is hot garbage, isn't it, Tom? Don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me because you made a bad joke and I brought it back.
It wasn't a joke. I actually like actual catapults.
It was a joke. Everything you say is a joke. Let's keep going.
All right. South by Southwest. Before we jump into South by Southwest, is it happening?
I doubt it, but they're probably they're doing the awards anyway, the same way that everybody did their awards.
We're going to talk about the awards, Sam. I was curious because, South by Southwest, if I remember correctly, this was the first convention to cancel due to coronavirus. Okay. If you remember, we got out of Dice Tower West, and then South by Southwest got canceled. And then
Gamma ran, but that was
Gamma ran, but South by Southwest is a much bigger event. I mean, it's a huge event.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's canceled. It says it's going to begin on March 16th and end on March 20th. Oh, no in-person attendance. Okay, so I guess it's virtual.
There you go.
All right. Anyway, they announced their Tabletop Game of the Year awards. They often pick fairly good games.
Yeah.
So they have Calico, Fort, Oceans, The Crew, and The Search for Planet X.
Right.
I couldn't tell you which one would win. I have
the one thing I saw was that they actually, that's a solid slate of games. So
it really is.
Congratulations.
It's definitely a mid-weight group. Then they're picking games that appeal to, I think, the largest audience in some ways
of hobby gamers. Yeah.
Well, yeah, of hobby gamers, sure, but they're also there's no heavy games on there, but there's also no real light games either. Sure. So
it's a good slate for sure.
All right, let's talk about Metal Gear Solid. This is a sad news to some degree. Metal Gear Solid, designed by Emerson Matsuuchi, and IDW, is basically not happening. This was actually, if you remember, this was in my top 10 most anticipated games from 2020 and did not come out. So Emerson has the rights to the game back. I don't know if he has the licensing there, and he's trying to work it out.
He does not have the licensing, but he gets the design back. This is a very interesting thing. It did not go into, and I have not yet found the reason that IDW is not producing the game. It was just like, oh, we're not going to do the game. What happened? Why not? I mean, obviously it's got a following. IDW has had a very checkered financial past. They're a public company, the publishing arm owned by a bigger company called IDW Media Holdings, and they've been losing a lot of money.
Well, I'm actually still curious about that game. We played it, the Batman animated game on Kickstarter Z.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And has that come out yet?
I don't know. I don't believe so.
No, I just looked at it. They just got the box cover art for it.
Okay.
And that game was supposed to be delivered in December. So,
well, it's not a tremendously long amount of time for a game that involves miniatures, but I don't know. I mean, I have no idea about their finances, like Bonacor's saying. I just figured the first time I saw a glimpse of this news, I thought it might have something to do with the license and some sort of licensing problem with Metal Gear Solid itself. Perhaps that's not it. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm going to research this more because this is actually a very interesting story to me.
All right, Peterson Games, best known for Cthulhu Wars, has a new game coming called Monster Invasion, and it's coming out on GameFound. That's another very big Kickstarter company moving to GameFound. I think that's pretty interesting news. We've seen Lucky Duck move there, and now we're seeing Peterson Games go there. It looks like kind of a cool game. It's 4 new games that they're going to be launching together. They're all different. They all have monsters. We have Marry the Monster, which my wife said was her theme game. I'm not sure what that meant. There's that one. I think we might have that one here in the office, actually. It seems familiar.
Yeah, I'm looking
at it. Then we got Invasion of the Brood, which is War of the Worlds meets Independence Day. I like that theming. Like if you have stuff that's... No, I do. I like the idea of fighting off aliens.
Isn't War of the Worlds meet Independence Day redundant, though?
Yeah, they're both very similarly themed.
Sure, War of the Worlds, we didn't beat them. It was...
Spoilers, man. I haven't read that book yet.
I don't want to. This is like this is an old book.
It's on my Kindle.
Catch-a-palooza for books.
I have it on VHS. The movie.
What's this?
Oh my word!
Yeah.
All right.
What's this Dracula everybody's talking about?
All right. They also have Evacuate, Don't Outrun the Monster, outrun your friends. It's a community deck building game using social deduction to outwit other players and get to the transport with the most survivors. That just sounds fun. I hope it's good, but
that sounds great. That I would be able to throw you under the bus while I got onto the evacuation ship. That is awesome.
Doesn't that sound fun? I don't know. I'm hoping it's good. And then the last one is Potions and Profits, a bidding, bluffing, and auction game, which that one doesn't sound as interesting as the other. The one I'm most interested in is Evacuate, but I'm just hoping it's good. But anyway, all 4 of these together on GameFound. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad to see Peterson Games doing smaller, sort of more accessible projects, because usually their games are quite, grandiose and epic in scales. So these sound like a different, like they're designed for a different market, different target. I like it.
What are they known for?
Cthulhu Wars, the giant,
Okay.
epic.
Yeah.
Warantha, and they make these huge games.
Right. Okay. Well then, yeah, this will. Looking forward to seeing these games. These are very interesting.
Now, the opposite of huge games, we have the game Face-to-Face. This is coming from Pandasaurus. The game is a cooperative game in which you are trying to build different piles of cards together. This is a competitive game, a 2-player version. I'm really intrigued with this, actually. I'm curious how this will be turned from cooperative to competitive.
I want to say that this has been out already from NSV.
It's possible.
I never did play it. I just, I didn't check it out. But, yeah, it might be an interesting spin on it. And folks who've played it, again, I think this has been out. If you've played it and, if you know it, then let us know in the comments right now what you thought of it.
Alrighty.
Especially in comparison to the original game.
All right, so in more sad news of sorts, especially if you like Legends of the Five Rings, the card game, Fantasy Flight has announced that they are shutting that game down, that the next set will be the conclusion to the game. Now, Fantasy Flight has a good record of usually when they finish a living card game, they give you some advance notice, it's done, and they say it's complete. This one, Legends of the Five Rings, has had a spotty history with Fantasy Flight ever since they bought it from AEG. When they first bought it, they put it out, and then they had some weird issues with releasing their monthly packs and then released a whole pile at once. You remember that, Z?
I do. That's right. That's right. They were doing the, what was it, 8 or 5 packs, 5 weeks, or 8 packs, 8 weeks. I forget what it was called. But, yeah, instead of doing a monthly release where they would drop a legend pack, I don't know what they call them, the pack of cards, once a month. They did once a week. And then there was a giant gap until the next cycle began. And so the game found its meta, and then there was nothing new to inject cards to shake that up.
Right.
I do remember that being a bit of a blunder, on their part. They kept it going longer than I thought they would, I'll be honest with you. Because I remember when this was around, they did that twice. I want to say they did that rolling schedule twice. I thought, this is not gonna last more than 2 years. And so they kept it going for a long time.
Legends of the Five Rings, I think you guys know, but just for everybody else, has been one of those IPs and games that have a very rabid fan base.
Oh,
it's
for
been
sure.
Going on since the mid 90s, right after Magic the Gathering. I think that in this announcement that they're talking about, they're now going to put out other games, including a role-playing game and some books that are going to come out with this. It's a very rich IP. I think that it will do well with other things coming out under it. So I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to do with this game.
What do you mean what they're going to do with it? They're closing it.
No, but they're coming out with a role-playing game based on it. And I thought I read in here, and I could be wrong.
Yeah, but the role-playing game, okay, right. The role-playing game is coming from Edge, not them, and novels from another book company.
Aconite is them. Aconite is Asmodee. Same thing.
Well, yeah, but that's not fit. Here's the thing. First of all, this is, as far as I can tell, I might be wrong. I think this is the final competitive living card game. The only ones that still exist are all cooperative. If I'm counting correctly, they still have Lord of the Rings, the Arkham Horror, and Marvel. And those are all cooperative games.
Really? There's no... That's it? I guess you're right.
The only other one, I don't know if Game of Thrones is still running or not. If so, then that one's competitive. But they've also gotten rid of X-Wing and stuff. Here's my concern is, will Fantasy Flight even matter in a year? This Descent game that's coming out better blow people's socks off. If it does not do well, I just can't see Fantasy Flight. What do they have? What's there to be excited about that company? They used to be the most exciting company in the business. Like, we would go to the in-flight reports and sit there like on, like, oh, what's Christian Peterson going to announce? And now it's kind of like, what is there to get excited about? They got Keyforge, I guess.
I got to see what
Keyforge is still, it's still strong, I think.
I don't think it's strong, no. I think it's okay.
No, I think it's very highly selling for them. But
are you just making up that stat, though? How do you know?
Because of the millions of decks that have been registered on their site. Sure, decks have been registered, but I'm telling you, I think L5R died also partially because of the coronavirus. There's no in-play in stores, and I think that hurts Keyforge, too.
Sure.
So with Magic the Gathering having a record year, that's a very hard thing to actually say. It's possible. Magic the Gathering had its best year ever last year. I think we reported on that last time.
I understand that. But Magic has a different selling point than a living card game, for sure.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway, I heard what you said about Fantasy Flight. It was like painful to even hear you say it. I want to go now look and see what they've announced over the last year and into this new year to see if that is really true. Because you're 100% right. They were the number one most exciting company because they were the biggest. So
what they've announced that's coming up, they have the new X-Men Mutant Insurrection, which we'll be doing a 4-way review of, I believe, today. So more thoughts on that at 3, so you can see what we think about that game. And then they got Descent. And then everything else that they announced at their in-flight report at Gen Con has been passed off to other companies. The X-Wing stuff. I mean, I watched an in-flight report. There was not much there. Now, Champions, I know, is doing gangbusters.
Yes.
That one I know is doing really well, but I don't know. It just feels like Asmodeus keeps scraping off parts of them to someone else. That's what it feels like.
But I still say that they got rid of Legend of the Five Rings to make room for the eventual Fallout living card game. Let's go!
See, you've been saying this for like 3-4 years now.
And the year it happens, I will feel validated.
There you go. Right. I'm going to stop commenting, but it's interesting.
All right. Let's see here. Uno Remix.
This is my favorite story.
So Uno is 50 years old, younger than Steven.
That's true. Oh, that's horrible. Thank you very much.
And so Mattel's releasing new versions of the game because of the 50th anniversary, but the real reason is money. But anyway, they released Uno Remix, which I'm going to have to go hunt down now. So you get to add cards to the deck and write on them. So this is essentially Uno Legacy. Something I think we must have made a joke about in the past somewhere.
I'll tell you what, though. I saw this announcement a couple of weeks ago, I think, when it first was sort of bubbling around, and this is the most boring way to do Legacy that I could have possibly imagined, because you're not adding new effects. You are just writing on the cards who the card may target.
All mine are going to say dad on them. The kids are like, draw 2 cards.
So dad. It's like draw 2 cards to Maria, as it says there on the cover. So instead of opening up avenues and creating new things, you're actually just shutting the game down and making it narrower so that copy now works with Maria better than with anybody else in the world. It just...
Why is this?
I don't know. This doesn't sound good to me, Tom. And that's taking Uno and whatever you think of it out of the equation. I don't think this sounds good.
That's actually your point is very well taken, that you've just turned this into a even more terrible take that, because now it's take that Z, right? It's right.
Yeah.
And every card, like, and you don't draw them, and I draw them. It's like
before this version.
Oh,
now they're really gonna fight.
Yeah, it's bad. You know what? I'm getting one, and you and me, Tom, are gonna play this for pie or something like that.
Okay, yeah, we'll do it.
That's a great thing to do, right?
Alrighty, last piece of news here.
Okay.
Fury of Dracula is on the App Store for Android and Apple devices. That's pretty cool. I didn't even know they were working on it.
I'm literally, if I had my iPad here, I have my iPhone, I should do it. I'm going to buy this game as soon as this is over. This is one of my favorite games in the world. If there's a billion rules in this game, and if this thing plays with, like, you know, the system can run the players or Dracula, I'm so in. I'm buying this immediately. I love this game.
I agree with that, Steven. I don't know. It sounds weird to hear you say this game has a million rules, but you love War of the Ring and, you know, Twilight Imperium and stuff like that. I don't think it's nearly as complex. But being able to have the game run some of the AI for you, I could. Because it's a hard game to get to the table a little bit because of that.
No, that's all I meant. It's it's the other two you mentioned, you know, especially Twilight Imperium and definitely War of the Ring are also big rules dense. This one just has a lot of corner cases. Well, how do the wolves work? When does it? There's weird cases in the game. It's big. I love it though. Love it, and I'm buying this as soon as I get off this call.